everyone. Hello. Welcome. If you don't know this voice by now, then why are you listening to this podcast or watching this video on YouTube? What is up, guys? It is James, aka Jimmypancakes20, back here to do another episode of the Jimmypancakes20 Show. And this episode is episode 19. Now, a lot of people are saying, James, you are finally back on YouTube and podcasting. Yes, I did take a little break, work and stuff, and some other personal things, but I'm back now, so a ton of content's going to be coming for you. So before we get into this episode, I know a lot of people want to know, am I officially going to be at Midsummer Scream? And the answer is yes. My mother, my co-host Marsha, and I are going to be at Midsummer Scream this year. We did buy the Golden Bat VIP tickets, so we are all set, and we also have our hotel. But I'm not going to tell you where we are staying for safety reasons. I am going to be doing a video of our hotel and what activities we are doing on that hotel, because there are some activities. So I'm going to be doing a whole video on it and stuff like that. So you guys are just going to have to wait until you see the video of where we have stayed. So I just wanted to get that little news out of the way. So there will be lots of content coming from Midsummer Scream this year. So before we get into what this video / podcast is all about, of course, I am joined again by my co-host, my mom, Marsha. So, Mom, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
And I know you're excited about Midsummer Scream.
I am very excited for Midsummer Scream.
Right. So, but, again, this is not the main thing. I just wanted to let people know, because I know a lot of people have been asking me. So there is your answer. We will be at Midsummer Scream this year, and videos will be coming out of everything, of the hotel that we stayed at and everything after Midsummer Scream. And, of course, you can follow me on all my social media sites, as well as my mom's social media sites, and that's where you'll get information and stuff. So, well, now, since we got the main things out of the way, let's get to the actual video / podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 19 of the Jimmypancakes20 Show. This is part 1 of our Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2010 history video. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about the dates of the event, the main icon, the mini icons, and then we're going to talk about the first 4 mazes. And then part 2 is going to be the rest of the mazes, the terror tram, and then the scare zones, and then part 3, aka the final part, is going to be the one show that they have this year, which of course is Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. So, Mom, this is your second year going there fully, because in 2008 was your first year going, but only for closing night, and you didn't really experience it that much. And then 2019 was your first full year when we bought the 10-night pass. And then, of course, this year, again, they were offering a 10-night pass to annual pass holders. So, of course, we did get the 10-night pass.
We did.
So, what did you think about going this year for your second year going fully?
I was excited to go. It was fun, but we'll get into that later. but I was very excited to go for 10 nights.
Yes. All right, guys. The event dates for this year's Halloween Horror Nights was September 24th, 25th, and then we went into October, which was October 1st and 2nd, 8th and 9th, 15th through the 17th, 21st for the 24th, and then 28th through the 31st. Still no ending in November, not quite yet. So, this year's main icon was a returning icon from 2008. Freddy Krueger was back as the main icon for this year. Your thoughts on that, Mom?
I was surprised they brought him back for the second year. I thought it was going to be a different icon, but I saw the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and he was a good icon this year.
Right. And then the mini icons this year were Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. Of course, like in 2009, the most popular maze there was Saw. So, of course, they had to bring back a Saw maze, but we're not going to be covering that maze in this part 1. That's going to be in part 2. But, of course, Jigsaw and Billy are back as mini icons, not the main icons this year. Then we had vampires, which you'll understand in just a few moments once we talk about our first maze. And then Chucky makes a return this year as well. Yes, Chucky does make its return.
He did.
Mm-hmm. And he was the icon for certain, not maze, but for the Terror Tram this year. Again, we're not talking about the Terror Tram in part 1. That's going to be in part 2. So I'll tell you all about Chucky's story that involves the Terror Tram in part 2. So, first maze that we're going to talk about was the first maze as you entered the park. Once again, was in the House of Horrors, which was called Vampire's Castle of the Undead. Mom, before I even read the description, when you first heard about this maze, what was your thoughts about it?
Another vampire maze? Really? Couldn't they do something else in the House of Horrors?
I know.
That was my thought, James. Like, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here is the description for this maze. There is evil lurking inside Castle Dracula. Deep inside the current 18th century manor lies an ancient curse of vampires for blood line stretching back to the Dark Ages. Inspired by vampires' original myths from old folk lore, Vampire Castle London takes you to the underground den of these beloved millionaires, a shadowy world that to them light and all that those will see in blood. Basically, I'm not going to really waste our time on this one because we had better mazes this year. Basically, the whole maze was different vampires. You had girl vampires, you had baby vampires, you had old vampires, you had queen vampires, you had king vampires. Pretty much all different kinds of vampires that were basically in the same areas that they were in 2008 as 2009. They couldn't really do much to change the House of Horrors, so they just had to work with what they had. That's pretty much what this maze was. So, I mean, I don't know what else you can really say about this maze. I mean, your thoughts on it, Mom?
Honestly, I didn't really like it. I didn't really like that maze. They should have done better, something in there, instead of all vampires. But they didn't really scare me. I didn't get scares in that maze.
Because, you and I were both season pass holders, and we've gone for the House of Horror so many times. Yes, there was a couple of new scares that we were not expecting. But if you've been for the House of Horrors as many times as we were, you know where the scares are, so it didn't really make it seem scary.
No, it didn't.
No, so...
I mean, this was I didn't really enjoy this maze, put it that way.
Yeah, it was one of those where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
It was okay. It was okay.
But I think we only went through it once.
No, we went through it multiple times.
I forgot if we did or not.
Yeah.
But
because we thought maybe it was going to get better.
But it didn't.
But it didn't.
Mm-mm.
No.
Nothing better about it.
So, I mean, as you can see on the screen, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this is the entrance of House Horrors, and then, of course, they just put a banister for Vampire Castle of the Undead. So, that was pretty much that maze. So, the next maze is a returning maze that was there in 2008. But I wanted to let you know that both this maze that we're about to talk about and the one following up after this one are remakes of the classic movies. So, basically in 2010 the joke was the year of the remakes for horror films because they did so many remakes that year. So, the two that I'm referring to that we're going to talk about in order is first Jason, the remake of Jason, that technically came out in 2009, but they didn't do the maze until 2010 because it came out,
in 2009?
In 2009, but it was later, but they already had the mazes already set, so they decided to do the remake in 2000. The maze for the remake in 2010, and then also in 2010, the same year, was Nightmare on Elm Street's remake that also came out in 2010. But the same year the event was going on. So, because it was produced by Michael Bay and some other people. So, yeah. So, this maze was located in the Western Stunt Show Arena. And this maze was called Friday the 13th, Kill, Jason, Kill. And we're not showing that again. Here we go. Kill, Jason, Kill. If people are watching this on YouTube, you can see the banister. So, before we got into this, Mom, I know, I remember in 2009, when this movie came out, there was a whole bunch of us that went to go see it together, and you enjoyed the remake.
I did enjoy it. I was surprised that I would like it.
Right, because,
I was totally surprised.
I mean, you have the original ones that were classic, and so when they do remakes, you don't know if it's going to be good or bad.
But this one was good. I enjoyed it in the theater.
Right. So then when we heard that it was coming to as a maze, I think we rewatched it, Mom.
We did.
Yes, we did.
We did watch it.
Yes. So this one was based off the technically 2009 movie, but they did the maze in 2010. So here we go. Here is the description for this maze. The eternal evil of Jason Voorhees still haunts the remains of Camp Crystal Lake. Now, it is your turn to venture into the layers of the famous killer and come face to face with the man behind the mask. The chilling layers will take you through the cursed woods of Camp Crystal Lake, into the haunted remains of Jason Voorhees' house, and down to Jason's secret underground tunnels. For the first time, Universal has not put an entrance showing the queue time and face of the queue, instead near. So the facade for this maze was the entrance to Camp Crystal Lake. Or technically, the pathway to get to Camp Crystal Lake. So, as you enter, you are going down the path, and you pass a campsite where you see a dead body and then signs that will lead you to Camp Crystal Lake. First scene is you see another campsite with a tent where you see a victim in a bear claw trap with an axe over his head, and then someone, which is a dummy, in a sleeping bag, getting burned over the fire. So, that was a really good way that they set this maze up. Then you see Jason. Give me one moment, guys. I lost the notes. Here we go. Then you see Jason for the first time with the sack hack mask. So, if you guys don't know the story of Jason, so in the original movie, you never saw Jason at all. You saw the viewpoint of Jason's mother, who was killing the counselors in the very first Friday the 13th movie. And then in part 2 is where Jason is older and he has the sack mask on. And then in part 3 is where he finds the honking mask that is associated with him to today. So they technically did a mix of Jason from part 2 and Jason from part 3 in this maze. So some of the Jasons had the sack mask on, and then a lot of them had the Jason mask on. So.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. The next scene that you go through is you're going over a bridge, and this time there are 2 Jasons with the sack masks that come out and scare you as you're crossing the bridge.
Meaning on either side.
On either side.
Okay, got it.
Then you see the Jason with then you see the first time Jason on the other side of the bridge with the hockey mask. So you literally got 4 Jasons within the first 3 rooms.
2 Jasons on one side, 2 Jasons on the other.
No.
Oh.
Basically, when you went over the bridge, you had Jasons on the other side. Then when you got to the other side of the bridge, before you went into your first building, Jason would come out with the hockey mask.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
You go into the first cabin and you see Kid Jason without the mask. So basically, at the end of the original Friday the 13th movie, there was the scene where the last survivor is out in the river, and Kid Jason comes out of the water and then intends to drag her underneath the water. But you don't know if that's a dream that she's having or if it's real, because they don't tell you that in the movie. So, of course, they had to do a reference to that one.
Like she was being pulled under the water.
Right.
Okay.
But they didn't do that in the maze. They just did a reference to the kid Jason without the mask.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Then the next scene you walk into is the kitchen, where you see Jason without the mask. Adult Jason this time. You know, this is before he found the sack mask or the hockey mask.
Okay, got it.
Also, you see, also in the kitchen, you see a dummy going through a tree cutter. It's like those machines where when they chop down trees, it goes in, it does the shards of, I don't know what exactly it's called, but it's the...
Like the tree limbs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, yeah. The next area you go through is the tool shack where you see Jason with the hockey mask pretending to squeeze a guy's head off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then after you leave the shack, you go back inside and you see Jason come out of a porta potty before you go into the next cabin. So you basically exit the tool shack. There's a porta potty, and then Jason comes out and scares you.
Was that on the right or left side?
I don't remember which side.
Okay.
I don't remember.
But I remember the porta potty, but I forget just what side it was on.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so the next scene is you're in a cabin, you see a dummy on the couch, and Jason pretends to cut the dummy's head off and then pretends to come after you. If you remember that scene.
I definitely remember that scene, yeah.
The next scene is you see a live actor on the table and he's pretending to get cut in half by Jason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The next scene is, the next room you enter is Jason's kid's room where you see the kid Jason, you know, in a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And then the adult Jason comes out and scares you. So you're looking at the kid Jason through
the mirror,
and then the adult Jason comes out and scares you.
So you're looking at the kid, and then the adult scares you.
The dummy of the kid.
Yeah.
That scares you, and then
Jason comes to scare you, so you got double scares.
You got double scared, yeah.
That's what I like in the mazes right now.
Yeah, yeah. Then the next room you enter is the restrooms of Camp Crystal Lake. No scares in there. No scares. You just went in and then went out. So no scares in that one. Then the next couple of hallways you're going through Jason's underground lair. This was something new that they did in the remake. This was never done in the original movies. This was something that was done in the remake.
Like tunnels underneath?
Tunnels, yeah. Underneath Camp Crystal Lake. And people are popping out from goo holes, and some of those are adult Jasons scaring you.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you go through the tunnels, the next room you enter is Jason's, I guess, underground room. And
like a bedroom or something? Don't know.
His underground room. That's what I'm calling it, Mom.
Okay.
It's his underground room.
All right.
And you pretend to see Jason grind the victim's face off. Then you continue going through the tunnels until eventually you get to Jason's mom's room.
Mm-hmm.
And you see Jason's mom's head, and then you also are hearing her voice saying, "Jason, they must be punished." And then that is the final room of this maze.
You think it's the final room?
No, it's the final room, and then you exit the maze.
Oh.
But remember, this is the Western Stunt Show, so they have that, like, that used to be the entranceway or the exit that you used to go out of the Western Stunt Show.
Right.
Of course, they have to give you one last scare.
That's what I was talking about.
Jason would come out of a party again and scare you, and that would be the end of the maze. So overall, this was a good maze. This was a good maze. I did enjoy it. Your thoughts, Mom?
I really enjoyed it. I got a lot of scares in that maze. It was really, really good.
Right. So,
excellent.
Yeah. Really, really good. So, we're going to move on to the next maze, which is called Nightmare on Elm Street, Never Sleep Again. So, this one is based off the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. And in this one, you kind of get a little bit more of Freddy's backstory of how he became who he is. And you see that throughout the maze.
I'm trying to remember the maze.
Which I'll point out as we're, going through. Okay. So, of course, this was behind Shrek 4D. Yes, Shrek 4D. So, here's the description. Return to the Sprout of Springfield, the scene of Freddy Krueger's horrible crimes, and take a journey through the living nightmare of Freddy Krueger is waiting for you in the dark. Your trip will take you through the twisted town of Springfield, including the abandoned ruins of the Bad Ham preschool. That's going to be very important as I tell you the backstory of Freddy Krueger, of how he became Freddy Krueger. The haunted hallways of Springfield High, and then ultimately a showdown with Freddy Krueger himself in the famous basement or the boiler room. So the facade for this maze was the exterior of Bad Ham preschool. So you guys are probably wondering, what the heck am I talking about? Well, in the 2010 remake of Freddy Krueger, you don't really know the backstory of Freddy Krueger, of why he turned out
the way he did.
So I'm gonna read you the first part, and then I'll explain, because this will tell you, the whole thing that you need to know. As you enter the preschool, the first room you walk into is Freddy's Krueger's playroom that was located in the basement of the school, where Freddy Krueger would bring children down and do horrible things to them. So, basically, what happened, and I should have said spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Jason movie. It's too late, but I'm doing a spoiler alert right now. I'm going to count down from 5. If you don't want to know anything about the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake movie and you want to go watch it for yourself, leave the video now or end the podcast and then come back and listen after you're done watching the video. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, in the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street movie, Freddy Krueger, basically, you find out he is a janitor of the school.
At the preschool.
At the preschool.
Okay.
He was a janitor slash gardener. So he basically kept the
preschool
school
clean.
Yeah, cleaned and maintained. That was basically his job.
Mm-hmm.
And what he would do was he would bring little boys and little girls down to his secret playroom that he would call it.
Mm-hmm.
And basically do horrible things to the children.
Bad stuff to them.
Bad stuff to them. And then basically after a while, parents started noticing changes in
the kids'
behaviors, and basically got a mob together, and they were trying to get him at the preschool. But unfortunately, he escaped. He ran into a shack, and they basically burned him alive. So it was basically the parents' fault that he became the way he did. So he knew that he couldn't go after the parents, so he went and got revenge on the kids of the parents. And so that's basically what happened. So that's why you have a little backstory in the remake that tells you what happened with Freddy. And then after those scenes are shown in the movie, then it's just like a normal Reddit. Then it's just like the original where Freddy Krueger is going after the children and stuff. Mm-hmm. But you just don't know that little part of Freddy. So now you know that's the backstory.
So he was doing bad things and the parents got revenge on him.
Pretty much, and then he basically got revenge on the parents because, of course he died in the fire, but then he became the demon.
Right.
So, yeah. So then a janitor, Freddy, comes out and scares you. So that is your first live actor of Freddy. And the spoilers are over now. So again, you see the first Freddy you see is janitor Freddy and scares you. So it ties in to it. Then the next room that also in this room as well is they're flashing the famous Freddy Krueger song. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4,
shut the door.
Yeah.
That song, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was pretty cool. So after you leave that room, you go down a hallway, and it's filled with children's clothes that are above you. And there are multiple Freddys in this hallway scaring you as well.
On both sides, James, right?
On both sides.
Side of the hallway, okay.
After the hallway, you enter the room where Freddy Krueger slept, so you basically went into his room where he slept and stuff.
Where the school was.
Yeah, you're still in the school.
Oh, you're still in the school.
You're still in the school.
Okay.
So he had a secret room that he would bring where he would do the stuff with the children.
Right.
And then he had another room where he slept.
I got it.
Yeah, because he was,
the janitor, so he had the run of the school.
Right, so he basically lived at the school.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then you went to the room where Freddy slept, and then, of course, another Freddy comes out. It scares you. After leaving that room, you go down another pathway. The hallway will lead you to the next scene where you're basically going from the preschool into like the one of the houses where one of the kids live. And I think it's Nancy's house. I think you're going to Nancy's house, and so it's a walkway where they had some statues and stuff.
Right.
And some of the statues were fake, and then some of them were live actors. That would
So
scare
you don't know who's going to scare you.
You don't know who was going to scare you.
Got it.
Yes,
Okay.
so I was correct. After you get past that place, you enter Freddy Krueger's house, or a.k.a. Nancy's house, where you see her dead mother, and Freddy comes out and scares you. This starts in the bedroom first.
Okay.
Next scene, you're going down the hallway where, in the movie, Nancy is running away from Freddy, and there's a hallway that she runs down, and Freddy turns the hallway into a pool of blood.
I think I remember that scene, yeah.
Yes. So
I remember it now, yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically what it felt like is, they were trying to do that effect.
Right.
Next, you enter the bedroom where you see a projection of Freddy's hand coming out of the bathtub, where Nancy is in that famous scene where
She got killed in the bathtub.
Well, no.
No.
The hand came out.
Oh, in her dream, right?
Where she was in the bathtub, she fell asleep and the
hand came out, yeah. That creeped me out.
Yeah. And then Freddy comes out and scares you before you exit the bathroom. So, again, you're looking at that projection, and then Freddy Krueger comes out and scares you as you exit.
Right.
Then you enter the high school, where you walk down, and there's some lockers, and there are two or three Freddys that come out from different lockers and scare you because you don't know where they are.
You're just walking, and it's like, pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then at the end of the hallway, you see the first Boggy Bag Tina. There was two in this maze. At the end of the locker hallway, you saw your first Body Bag Tina.
Right. Okay.
Next, you enter a classroom where you see another Body Bag Tina. So this is the second one that you see. Walking around the classroom, and then behind the chalkboard, they do a flash where you see Freddy Krueger is like scaring you from behind the chalkboard, and then there's another Freddy that comes out and scares you, so you get a double scare.
You're looking at the chalkboard and you didn't know.
You're first looking at Body Bag Tina, then you see the flash of Freddy, and then you don't see the other one come out that's in this room with you. So
that's why I'm saying you see the chalkboard, you're focused on the chalkboard, and you don't know there's another scare.
Yes. Yeah. Then the next couple scenes to end, you enter the basement room where you see come face to face with Freddy in his environment. In one hallway, you walk through hanging bodies. That's a common occurrence. And then the last scene is there's a still walker. Freddy comes out and scares you. And then that is the end of the maze. But of course, just like what they did last year for My Boy Valentine, you have to exit through the Shrek pre-show room. And there are black curtains, and there was probably 2 or 3 Freddys there, depending on how busy the night was. And then you were officially done with the maze. Your thoughts on this?
I really loved this maze. It was so well done. I mean, scares everywhere. And at the end, I love it how they, one last scare when you're walking out of the maze and you get 3 Freddy scares.
Right.
That's what I like to
Mm-hmm.
end the end of the maze.
Right.
But this maze was fantastic.
Right. I think they did a pretty good job of mixing some of the original scenes with the newer scenes.
Right.
So, I mean...
What do you think of it, James?
I really did enjoy this one. I really thought it was amazing. I really thought it was going to be a good one.
Right. And it was.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. So, to end part 1, we are going to do our final maze for the night. And this was the first time, because they used this location 3 times. They used this location in 2010, 2011, and 2012. And then after that, they never used this location again. For a maze, they did do it. They did use this location in 2009 for a show. We're talking about the Terminator 3D show.
Yes.
Q.
Yes, that's right. They did do a maze there.
We just watched the video before we recorded this episode, Mom.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Can I say the mazes?
Yes. Yes, you can.
It's the House of the 1,000 Corpses.
Right.
That's what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah, so this was the first time they ever used the Terminator 3D
Q
line for an actual maze. So the official title was called Rob Zombie's House of the 1,000 Corpses in 3D Zombie Vision. So this was their first year they did a 3D maze.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this was the first year they did a 3D maze.
But I don't think I used the glasses.
You used it, I think, twice, and then the rest of the time you did not use them.
No.
Mm. But were you shocked when we learned that this maze was going to be in the Terminator? You know,
I was surprised.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And literally, it started in the Coke Zone. That was like the entrance. And it went all the way around behind the building.
Yep.
Yeah, so
it was behind the Terminator 3D
No.
building.
The line queue was behind it. The actual maze was in some of the queue line that they used for the Terminator show.
Right.
They didn't use where like the handicap thing was for the line.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the left side. Remember?
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was weird seeing a maze in that location.
It was weird.
It was really weird. Alright, so, description. Enter the 3D world of carnage and chaos where you are invited to experience the horrors of iconic Rob Zombie as he brings Captain Spaulding deadly tourist trap. Take a one-way stroll through Captain Spaulding's museum, then into the nightmarish residence of the Firefly house, and down the summit network of tunnels that rumored were Dark Satan is still practicing his legal craft to this day. So, the entrance to this maze, or aka the facade of this maze, was the clown shop from the film, aka clown shop / museum of Captain Spaulding. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The first room that you enter is where you walk into the shop where you see Captain Spaulding and his assistant that is in the monkey mask. I don't think they gave that character a name.
Not that I know of, no.
Where they scared you, that leads you into the next couple of rooms where you were going through the murder ride that the kids took in the movie. So there was like 4 or 5 rooms that had like the murder ride in. Remember?
Yes, I remember.
That eventually led you to the entrance of the Firefly residence.
You mean the house?
The house.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Before you entered the Firefly residence house, you were out in the porch where you had some people dressed as scarecrows that would scare you before you entered the house. Then you entered the house, and the first room was the living room where you saw a stilt walker, Tiny. So if you don't know who Tiny is, in the movie he is supposedly one of the brothers that wears a kind of like a mankind mask. That's how I could describe it. And he wears a red sweater, and he doesn't talk much. Right.
Right. Yeah, that character, yeah.
And of course, they didn't have any actress or ladies play the mom. The next room you enter is Baby's room, and Baby was, of course, played by Rob Zombie's wife, Sherry Moon Zombie.
In the movie.
Mm-hmm. Where she is the crazy sister. And in the movie, she likes playing games. So, of course, you're seeing the scene where the guy is answering questions and she's pretending to cut his scalpel off his head.
Right.
His head. The next room you enter is the brother's room, the crazy brother, per se. Where you see another victim being cut up, and I apologize, I don't remember the brother's name. The crazy brother's name.
I don't remember his name either, James.
Then you walk briefly through a scene where you see them burying the 2 survivors in the coffin that leads to the tunnels where you would go to see Dr. Satan. Yes.
In his lair.
In his lair, yes. Then the next couple of rooms, it was 5 or 6 rooms where you were going through the tunnels, and there was dead bodies that you went through, and then there was people that were popping out and scaring you in boo holes. And then, of course, just like the movie, the movie did end in Dr. Satan's. There was a scene where the girl escapes, and you see Captain Spaulding pick her up in a car, but you don't know that he is the dad of the baby and the brother. But they couldn't do that scene in a live action, haunted house. So the way they did it was they just ended it where you were in Dr. Spaulding's laboratory or lair.
Yeah.
The final room for the maze was you got to Dr. Satan's room where you saw his assistant with the giant hammer, which the assistant was played by Rob Zombie himself.
In the maze?
In the movie.
Oh, in the movie, okay.
The assistant is the guy that has the mask on. He has a giant mallet. I don't remember his name. And of course they had someone playing Dr. Satan. And of course the same guy that was getting his scalp cut by Baby. He's the one that's in the chair getting cut and stuff. And then that was the end of the maze. And then you had an option if you wanted to return the 3D glasses, or you could keep them.
Right.
Depending on what you wanted to do.
Right.
So, and that is it. So this is going to wrap up part 1 of our Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2010 history video / podcast. This was episode 19. So, Mom, your final thoughts before I wrap up the show for the evening.
I like the 3 mazes that we described.
4
mazes that we described. They scared me half out of my wits. And, you know, those 4 mazes were good so far. And I really enjoyed this year's Halloween Horror Nights, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get to the last maze and the terror trim and the 6 or 7 scare zones this year in part 2. And then part 3 is going to be the Bill and Ted show. So, I don't know when part 2 or part 3 is going to be coming out, would be, part 2 would be episode 20 of the Jimmypancakes20 Show, and episode 21 would be the 3rd, aka final part. I will definitely let you guys know through my social media sites. The links to all my social media sites are at the bottom of every video and every podcast. And also you can find my mom's social media sites, which she has Twitter and Instagram. You can follow her on those as well. So I want to thank again my co-host Marsha for joining me for this episode.
You are very welcome.
And that is going to be a wrap. So once again, my name is James, aka Jimmypancakes20, signing off, and we'll see you guys for the next episode 20, part 2 of our Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2010 history video / podcast coming soon. I will let you guys know when that video / podcast is going to be coming up on my social media sites. Catch you guys later.